2025 is the last year that you can use this 29-year-old Sony Handycam without lying about today's date. I did a video about this camcorder a few years ago, along with a couple other 90s Sony products, and there's not much to add, given that its image sensor is broken. So instead, let's look at this other camcorder. It is a ProScan PRO998LH. If you've never heard of that brand, you're not alone. I'd heard of it before, only on a YouTube video, about a cheap Android tablet which didn't work very well to say the least. This camcorder may not be top of the line, but it's nowhere near as bad as that tablet is. That video is by someone from the United States, and it could very well be that this brand is only used in that country or North America, because this product does some US defaultism by referring to a United States state without mentioning the country. VA definitely doesn't stand for Varese in this case. I was about to look it up when I noticed that the battery says the name in full. I didn't even know there was a state in the US with that name, but then again there are 50 of them and I know like 3, so that's how much I know about foreign countries. As for how I ended up with this device here in Italy, it's a long story. It was manufactured in April 1998. At that time, the ProScan brand was owned by Thomson Consumer Electronics. It might have been sold with different brand names in other countries too, and it might have used the PAL video system, but this one is NTSC. Thankfully, its power supply is universal voltage, so I can use it here with a plug adapter. And also thankfully, the image sensor on this camcorder works, unlike the Sony. And its year goes up to 2099 instead of 2025. But this ProScan isn't without its issues. First of all, the writing on the case is worn off, and the screen's anti-glare coating is ruined, but that's just cosmetic. Its worst problem lies in the tape mechanism. I got some 8mm tapes, and they play fine for a few seconds, but then the image gets corrupted, and I can hear the tape being crinkled. Even when fast forwarding or rewinding, it makes a crinkling noise from the tape. And sometimes the tape stops, and can't play again until you eject and reinsert it. Because I don't want to risk damaging the tapes further, I wasn't able to play them all the way through to see how much free tape there was. Maybe the tape mechanism just needs a clean, but I can't see any obvious dirt with the naked eye, and even after some googling, I'm not sure where to start, at least right now. Seeing that it does play fine for a few seconds, I believe the tape drum is fine. It must be something else in the mechanism that's malfunctioning. If you have any tips on solving this issue, please let me know before I ask artificial intelligence. I'd like to see what's in these old family tapes, but if I don't learn anything new, I'll just leave it like this and not use the tape mechanism. It's not like I'm gonna go out and film with a camcorder almost as old as me, though I could do that, since its lithium-ion battery still holds a charge for about an hour. There's the lens with 16 times optical zoom. I don't know if the fact that it's aspherical is a good thing. Stereo microphone, switch between playback, off, and recording. It has electronic image stabilization, dual digital signal processor, and supports Hi8 recording. On these little things, 8mm tapes. Here's an example of one, with its case and everything. And even some stickers. There's the button to toggle the stabilization, fade effects, digital effects, date and title display, focus and volume. And I think that's the speaker. More buttons at the top. Warning for the spotlight. I think you'd have to use it for a very long time before it can burn you. A little switch to control the spotlight. Zoom lever with a button to do instant digital zoom. Fake leather. This texture is just plastic. With the backup battery behind it. It takes a CR2025 battery, appropriate for this year. Record button. PAL 60 switch, which is only for playback, not recording, in case you're playing some PAL tapes in this NTSC camcorder. A connector for a proprietary output jack. Thankfully I've got the cable for it. This weird connector doesn't even use all pins. It's made in Japan at least. Plugs in like this. And it has stereo audio, composite video, and S-video outputs, which are connected to my EasyCap video capture device now. This camcorder also came with a shoulder strap. Pretty basic, no writing on it. The viewfinder is black and white. It can be adjusted up or down. And under it, there is more information, including the date of manufacture. And under it, there's more information, including the date of manufacture. At the bottom, there's just a tripod mount and a warning. On the back, there's also the DC in jack, 6-volt center positive. And when you insert the battery pack, that jack gets covered up. Below it, there's a surprise. Regular composite and mono audio jack, which is better than nothing if you don't have the proprietary cable. And finally, we can address the elephant in the room. This 3.5-inch display. It's pretty big for camcorder standards. All it has over here are brightness buttons. And here we can see where the tape goes, with the eject button. This one at the top looks like an eject button, but it's actually just to release the battery. Let's turn on the camcorder now, in camera mode. And it's been keeping the time and date because I put a new backup battery in it. And by the way, the lens cap opens automatically when you switch to camera mode and closes when you switch to something else. You can disable the date display if you want, or even write a custom title, but it's very tedious, so I'm not going to demonstrate it. Let's press the eject button. And insert the tape. But as I explained previously, the mechanism is a bit dodgy, so I don't want to play a tape on it again. It ejects pretty violently. I don't know if that's normal. When you close the LCD or turn it the other way, the viewfinder turns on. You can adjust the focus by pulling it back. And of course it's a little difficult to show on camera, but even though it's black and white, it works. Should use less power than the LCD. Oh, and I could also show the remote. Pretty basic, but could be useful. The thing I found out about it is that the battery compartment is at the top, making it feel a little weird to hold, because the heavier part is on top. And here's the spotlight. It's not night vision, but not a bad feature anyway. I'm going to point the camcorder at the desk and turn it back on. It's quite yellow, but it's good. I'm pretty sure it uses a lot of power. And now it's time for some sample footage. It might not be the best quality with the crappy video capture device I'm using, but it should give you a rough idea on how this camcorder works. So thank you for watching so far, and let's get to it. Not recording to tape will have less background noise, because the tape mechanism isn't running. Both the EasyCap and this proprietary cable have composite and S-video. But on this video capture device, the S-video actually looks worse, so I'm using composite. I'm using the YADIF deinterlacing effect in Open Broadcaster Studio, and also I had to stretch the image vertically a few pixels, because even though I've set it to NTSC, it was squished at 720 by 480 and stretched at 720 by 576 PAL resolution. It appears the EasyCap is capturing right between those two values, so I set the height to 528, which is the average between NTSC and PAL. Another reason why an EasyCap isn't the best. But I paid like €7 for it on Amazon about 8 years ago. And it worked on OBS on Linux as soon as I plugged it in, so I can't complain much. I turned the saturation up a little bit, and also the volume a bit down. Everything else is at default settings. First, some tests on my desk, just to compare with the previous camera I was using. I don't want to show much of my desk, not because of privacy, but because it's a mess. But I can show you this computer, which you might have seen in the background of some other recent videos of mine, but I never showed properly. Why? Because there's not much to say about it. I bought it for a quote iTunes server, just to manage iOS devices. Syncing music, yes, I still do that, and backing devices up. Now I'll be quiet while zooming in and out so you can hear the wonderful noise this zoom motor makes. Actually, I'll use the remote control to zoom, so you don't even hear the noise of that lever. After a certain point, it starts doing digital zoom. Which is why it said 72 times digital zoom, but the optical zoom is 16 times. Let's turn on this iMac and see some display. There you go, it automatically opens iTunes. I'll close it for now. This is an iMac from 2011, running its latest officially supported macOS version, High Sierra. I considered installing a newer version with OpenCore Legacy patch, but realized I don't need it. And this wallpaper is actually from a Microsoft collection. So yeah, that's about it. If I go on iTunes, it's already seen my phone on the network. I'll test the stereo separation now. So now I'm standing to the left of the camcorder, about 1.5 meters away. And now I'm standing to the right of it, about the same distance. We can change the display on it to show the date. Of course it's in US format and you cannot change it. You can set a title. You can see the blinking cursor near the middle of the screen on the bear's front right paw. And you can use the fast forward, rewind and stop buttons to set a character. So you can scroll between some special characters and letters, uppercase only, and numbers. Like I said, it's very tedious, so I don't want to set a proper title. And it has 2 rows you can write the title on. Show just the date and nothing. We can try the spotlight again. So yeah, that's about all the tests I can do here on the desk.